Good evening everyone and welcome along to TML F2. We are here tonight for season number 9. It is round number 6 of the championship as we take in the Dutch Grand Prix from, of course, the Zandvoort circuit. It's been a while. My name is James Head and I'm going to be taking to the stream for TML F2 tonight as your lead commentator, and joining me in the commentary box as always, filling in as a brilliant solo commentator, I've got to be honest, the last couple of weeks in TML F2. It is Mr. Ivan Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Obviously, this track is going to be an incredibly difficult track. Concentration has to be at the IS. A lot of key traction zones, a lot of underlaying corners where it can catch you out if you get a little bit too greedy on the throttle. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, it is going to be a very interesting one indeed. The standings have been updated, by the way, in the Discord, so if you do want to have a look at the standings, of course. But I'm going to read them out anyways. Yellow Geeson out on top on 146 points. Dan in second. He's actually not racing tonight on 103 in second. Siege there in third on 97. Then Legend in fourth on 80. Dylan McGivern in eighth on 77. Parry in sixth on 65. Yoram in seventh on 60. Jamie in eighth on 55. Evil Chris in ninth on 52. And Great Elmore in 12th on in 10th, I should say, on 48. Charlie in 11th on 41. Ronnie in 12th on 31. Roy God 13th on 28, Ghost in 14th on 27, Sygate in 15th on 26, Key in 16th on 24, and then Preb, Charlie's other, his reserve points, which have not been added, or have been added actually, he's there in 19th somehow. There's two of him in the same boat. Mays filling out the top 20, Maximum Attack, Schmitsky, Steve, and Ivan Tonchik have scored points. Neither have Daymild, Geese, or Yanzu. They have not scored points so far this season. Constructor standings as well. I believe Williams could potentially wrap up the championship going into next week, but they do lead on 233 points with a 1-2, of course, last week, 2 weeks ago, obviously. Mercedes in second on 148, McLaren in third on 125, Alpine fourth on 111, with Alfa Romeo fifth on 103, Haas in sixth on 100, Ferrari in seventh on 63, AlphaTauri in eighth on 61, Red Bull in ninth on 45, and Aston Martin in 10th on 38 points. A lot to delve into there, though, Mike. Of course, Yellow Geeson took the win, sixth on the grid, took the win last time out. It was a Williams 1-2 last week as well. And that, I think, is going to really set them up for a really good constructors challenge, as well as Yellow Geeson obviously challenging for the drivers.
Yeah, but one thing I did notice, Yellow Geeson not in the lobby tonight, so that could potentially give the other teams a chance to close up.
It will indeed give the other chance to the other guys, of course, to the chance to catch up, and that is really good because we might get a different run, and we might get Dylan McGivern on the top step of the podium come the end of the race. Siege as well potentially up there, you would imagine. Yoram, he's normally quite quick around here, so he might be one to watch out for. But what is absolutely key is the weather, and it is beautiful blue skies and sunshine here in qualifying so far. In the race, however, who knows what is going to throw up here. Hopefully we don't see a streaking David Coulthard on the track in terms of being on the nudist beach like he was in 2021. The sight that I think for everyone is probably going to haunt everyone in their lives going forward. But first guys are now coming out on track, and the first one out on track is actually the championship challenger, and that is Dylan McGivern in the Williams. He's the sole Williams actually tonight as well, because as Mike has already alluded to, Yellow Geeson is not here, but Dylan McGivern, first man out on track and first one to try and get a lap time on the board. And this is a very, very tricky track, especially through Skyflak here at turn number 7. This is going to really test the driver's limits.
Yeah, concentration really does need to be at its highest around this circuit, and obviously for some of these drivers like Dylan, like Yaham, like Powdy, a big opportunity for them. And so far this season, it's been very up and down for all three drivers, and they haven't had a perfect run-in so far.
Yeah, definitely so. If you're wondering, by the way, I know I'm going to get asked this question a little bit later on, I'm sure. Where was TML F1 last night? TML F1 was cancelled last night because we had a very low attendance. We only had, actually, 12 drivers, and looking on it, we've only got 13 here, so we could have maybe potentially ran last night in TML F1 in the Netherlands. That might get kept on towards the end of the season, who knows. But we're going to run on with Dylan McGivern on the road towards turn number 1, at the right-hander in towards Tarzan corner, and then in towards the right-hander of turn number 2, a Gerlach box, which is this right-hander here, then through the banking into the left-hander of turn number 3. Actually, on this track map, it says there's 14 corners. I believe there's 15 around here. As we now come up Rob Schlottermacher box. This is why I don't really pronounce some of the corner names around here. 24.7 in the first sector from Dylan McGivern, and now coming through Skyflak, which I can pronounce, coming now in towards Marlborough, and then in towards Renault corner at turn number 9. I'm pretty much halfway through the lap at this point, on board with Dylan. Now coming to the left-hander of turn number 10, and looking very good, coming through Renault there at turn number 10, and then into the left-hander of turn number 11, which is the Audi S curve, which is actually kind of a chicane on this track. 49.3 in the middle sector, looking very, very committed in the Williams, and that comes through the left-hander of turn 12, then through the right-hander of turn number 13, get caught on the banking here, on the exit of the corner, get caught on the curb, you will end up spinning. Dylan McGivern makes it look very easy. Now through Ariel Lundijk at turn 14, on the run toward the line, and Dylan McGivern is going to set us off, I think, for 111 potentially? Yeah, 110.9, just a little bit shy to my prediction, but a 110.9 to start off the night, and Powdy there going in second. Interestingly, on a set of medium compound tyres.
Yeah, and I was on board with Powdy for that lap, as we have a spinner in the final corner, I believe is Roygard, yeah, as we got Yaham to the line now. Yaham will cross, and it's going to be an 11.1. Yeah,
not a bad lap there at all. Bradley's also crashed out coming through the left-hander, the right-hander of turn number 8, onto the right-hander of turn number 9. I think he's got caught on the outside curb, possibly tried to flicker one way, then flickered the other, and sadly for him, on his debut actually here in TML F2, he's down there in 13th position. Charlie, an interesting one on a set of medium compound tyres, actually not on a valid lap at this stage, but Dylan out on top, Yoram in second, Paddy there in third. And already we are seeing many drivers on a very much invalid lap. Legend does get in there with a 113.1, but that is a little bit retrospective compared to Dylan out there with a 110.9. Charlie as well, 121.1. Some of these times are not really that good as Siege goes fourth.
Yeah, on board with Siege for the final part side lap, and so got two guys out and out lap. I think Evil Chris will be the next one to cross the line this lap time.
Jamie's gone miles by coming through Skyflak at turn number 7. Pretty much ruined the 100-metre board. If anybody uses the 100-metre board around here, that's completely gone for the rest of the session, unfortunately. But Jamie, they're down in 10th. Luckily, keeps it going.
Evil Chris getting under the curb and just completely losing his car through the final two corners. And that, he just managed to keep it out of the wall, but that was risky there from Evil Chris.
We did say it would test the driver's limits, and that's exactly what the Netherlands did. To be honest, I'm looking at the F1 guys last night, and I'm thinking it's a good job we didn't race, because we might have actually had this in the qualifying session. But Dylan's out on top, Yoram there in second, Paddy there in third, as actually Charlie now goes third, on his second run, interestingly, on that set of medium compound tyres. It makes me wonder, Mike, with Charlie and Powdy especially being on a set of medium compound tyres, are they trying to conserve a set of softs for the race, or are we going to get a little bit of rain potentially in the race?
Potentially. I mean, it's always interesting to see the strategies when it comes to qualifying, and especially when people do their first laps on the mediums. It does throw out a lot of interesting theories, whether the conditions will be different or whether Jamie loses it on the curb again and he's around. Yeah, it definitely is going to throw out a lot of interesting things. I'm not sure what the delta difference is between the mediums and the softs, but if it is a good 7/10 of a second, Charlie and Powdy are looking Dylan pace right now.
Yeah, they are indeed looking Dylan pace for sure, but it's Dylan out on top, Yoram there in second, Charlie there in third. And yeah, normally I think around improvements around this track, I normally think about 8/10 of a second. So Charlie and Powdy, with a 111.6 respectfully, they should be going 8/10 quicker than that. So put it into that perspective, They should be 110.8, 110.7s, I think, as the session goes on. Of course, the drivers might not necessarily find the actual pace around here because it is such a difficult track. You might not actually find that sort of lap. Roy God has just started on a lap, I think, in the Alpine. Siege saying in the comments as well in Discord that it's going to be dry for the race, so that's why we're seeing Charlie and Powdy certainly on that set of mediums. Roy God, though, purple in the first sector. Not too convinced by that. I'm sure Dylan McGiven was a 24.8 in the first sector. But Roy God, looking to try and bounce back from his disappointing result last week, he's now coming to the left-hander turn number 10.
Yeah, through turn number 10 goes Roy God, tries to get the traction out of that corner, and that's a very an interesting corner because the traction out there can catch people out, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of spinners during the course of the race.
Yeah, definitely so. And what got in the middle sector was... I missed the middle sector, but he was looking quick through the middle sector. He should go around Siege, Ronnie, that sort of area, I'm thinking, with this lap on the run toward the line in the Alpine. I think he's going to split the two, and he does. 112.1, and that really fits, I think, into the mould of where Roy God's pace is at in terms of this lap. Legend as well, just coming across the line. He was 3/10 down on that lap. Maybe he's trying to get a little bit of practice in, potentially. He's on his 4th run, actually, on that set of soft compounder tyres. So makes me wonder, obviously, in terms of the mediums later on in the race, we might see the one-stop strategy really come into play. Even Chris is on a lap as well. 24.7 in the first sector from him. Now into the right-hander of the Audi S curve, and he's purple in the middle sector, apparently, according to my screen. Frenchman now coming to the left-hander turn number 12, then into the right-hander of turn number 13. But Dylan's out on top, Paddy in second, Yoram in third. One of them is certainly just pounding for a lap as Evil Chris is in the wall and he's out.
He's done it again. He pinched too much of that inside curve as Atlas Copo in behind goes around as well. Same corner.
And that McLaren coming through, I think it's Parody Yoram just finishing up a lap. He's 900s up actually on this lap, on the run towards the line, and he goes quickest, 110.8. Big final sector there from Yoram, improved about a 10.5, so obviously found time coming through the banking. Parody has just started up on a lap as well. He's 1.3 seconds down though on the first sector, so he's actually not on a valid lap. But Yoram out on top, Dylan McGiven in second, Parody there in third, and Yoram now beginning to come to the boil. He's got really good pace in qualifying. He just needs to translate that into the race. But Mike, I believe he finished third last week, so he's got really good form coming into this week.
I believe last week it was the break week. I think
2 weeks ago, yeah.
But yeah, Yaham, he needs a couple of big results now string together because he's one of those drivers that's always got the pace, but there's always a mistake in him, and those mistakes have come back to haunt him time after time after time. And he needs to build this confidence back up. Obviously, no Yellow Gleason, no Dan here. There's not a better opportunity right now to get a race win.
Yeah, definitely. No, Atlas Copel currently down there in 12th position as well. He did pick up a 5 place... sorry, it was Ellery Dan, I think, that picked up a 5-second time penalty and 5 penalty points added on with a collision. That was a part of the stewards report. That was updated and corrected in the standings as well before I actually posted them tonight. So if you want to... obviously, and in terms of that, actually, we do have two bans from... Sorry, I'm just reading this wrong. Qualifying ban for Daymild. He got a qualifying ban. Obviously, he's not here, so he'll serve it in the next race that he does. And second report was Powdy and Dan. Instant that they had, I think it was off the start and down in towards turn number 1. 10-second time penalty and penalty points for Ellery Dan. Therefore, Atlas Copel finished 9th. Dan finished in 10th. I thought it was 5 seconds. Clearly, I read it wrong.
Yeah, as we're seeing Legend, he's still going around on that set of soft tyres. 6 laps he's done on them now. I think he's just trying to build some confidence in the track.
Well, he certainly is. He's 2.5 turns up in the first sector. He's now beginning to build that confidence. Maybe he's had, as I say, limited amount of practice coming into tonight and wants to try and get the lap times on the board. And he has got ERS on this lap, so I wonder if he's going to do this one, then come back in the pit lane, then go on to a fresh set of soft compound tyres. That's what I would do if I was in his shoes. Coming in toward the right-hand return number 11, and he's 4 turns up. 50.5 in the middle sector, not too bad at all. Red Bull slightly spun, I think, through turn number 8. I think that might have been Ronnie potentially on a lap. But yeah, there was a brief yellow flag there. But Legend now coming to the right-hander of Ari Lundijk at turn number 14 on the run toward the line as the grey clouds now begin to build over the circuit at 112.5 from Legend. That's more like it in terms of his pace. And he stays in 9th, even though he's been on 7 laps of that compounder tyre on that side of softs. And now, looks like he's backed off, so he'll be coming back in the pit lane as Jamie is on a lap as well, coming to this middle sector split. 50.3 is 1.1 seconds up.
Yep, Jamie looking to find a lot of time here to get himself up the order. As it currently stands, looks like he's going to jump ahead of Ronnie, but can he find some more to get ahead of Roygaard and Ghost? That's the question as he comes through the final corner, opens up DRS, and he's actually going to come into the pits.
If you told me you'd be coming to the pit lane at the end of that lap, you would have had me on. Because I was not expecting him to come in the pit lane there whatsoever. I mean, there's 6 minutes to go in the session, and he's just completely juked us both. There's more than enough time to get that lap in. Maybe he's not trying to... maybe he's just trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes, like Guan Yu Zhou did in free practice a little bit earlier on. Dylan McGivern is just starting on a run. Powdy is a 10th down to the first sector, so this might be a one to watch. Powdy coming to the left-hander of turn number 10.
Yep, Powdy coming up to the middle sector now. Is it going to be an improvement? He's 200 of a second up. If he can find some time in this final sector, he could potentially make it the McLaren 1-2 for the time being.
Yeah, he was a little bit hesitant actually coming through the chicane there of turns 11 and 12. Now through Ari Lundijk in and then through Ari Lundijk out at turn number 14. That's what bocht means, by the way, in Dutch, as that Powdy now runs toward the line. 111 flat does improve. That first sector, though, he was 2 tenths down in the first sector, so clearly made a mistake. I'm assuming coming out the banking. And he has got time to find in that lap, so Powdy could easily make it at McLaren 1-2. Dylan McGivern, though, 500 up responding through the first sector, through the left-hander turn number 10. And this is actually not looking too bad at all from Dylan McGivern. Has he backed off his lap? I think he has. Yeah, Dylan McGivern has backed off his lap. He made a mistake in the middle sector somewhere.
Yeah, but as Atlas Cobo made a mistake into turn 1, so he backed off. I think he's coming into the pits now, so on to Ghost, who I think is the next man to cross the line. No, it'd be Roygaard, but Roygaard's not setting a competitive time, so back on board with Ghost, as Ghost through the final corner, and he's looking for a good launch out of this. He's gone to the edge just to get a little bit of extra speed by using the hill, and he's going to improve up into P5.
Yeah, very good lap there from Ghost indeed in the Red Bull. Believe he's now reserve, if I'm not mistaken. He dropped down, I think, because of work commitments from last week, from 2 weeks ago. Goodness me, I forgot we had a break in between. But you know what I mean. You're mad on top. Dylan McGivern in second. Powdy there currently in third. Powdy is back in the pit lane. Roygaard, you mentioned, was on a lap as well. 24.9 in the first sector is very respectful indeed. Quicker than Powdy, actually, through the first sector. So Roygaard, if he can really now eye up this middle sector... A little bit sketchy coming out of turn number 10 there. Now into the RDS curve at turns 11 and 12. 50.2 in the middle sector, has lost a bit of time as a result of that spin. But he's got to be... Basically, the F1 guys certainly would have been attacking that chicane and then trying to flick the car just to try and get a little bit of extra. These guys are F2 speed, but I normally expect his Roygaard was very wide there. This, I don't think, is going to be an improvement on his lap. I would bail if I was him to come in the pit lane. Don't think this is an improvement. Yeah, he should have bailed into the pits.
Yeah, he should. As we got Ronnie, he's marginally up by 700 of a second in the first sector. So Ronnie, can he put Roygaard under pressure here? Because he is the car directly behind him currently in this qualifying session. Ronnie through turn 10 now, opening up DRS, and let's see what the middle sector split is going to say for him. As Ghost is retired from the session, 2 tenths up in the middle sector.
Yeah, and Ronnie looking very good so far on this lap. 112.5 is currently his personal best. We have got OWR support there in the chat as well. OWR Golter, I think, is in the chat, along with Lord Danny Boy. So that is good to see the support from him. Ronnie now coming through the final couple of corners on the run to the line. I'm going to say 112.2. Oh, 112 flat. Goodness me, it was even quicker than what I was expecting. But a good improvement there from Ronnie. 5 tenths up. Roygaard is down in that first sector. Jamie saying he was practicing. He is actually improving on this lap. The Alfa Romeo looking more competitive. Backs off on his lap.
He was 1.1 seconds up in the middle sector. It would have been an improvement, and it would have got him into the top 10. Well, yeah, it would have got him into the top 10 ahead of Legend. That's for sure. Possibly could have got ahead of Roygaard and Ronnie, but he's backed off coming towards the line.
He says he's trying to practice, and then he does that before the line, which makes me wonder. He's got more pace than what he's letting on to. We want to see that pace, I think, in this qualifying session, as opposed to just trying to piss fart about, really, in terms of
know what
backing
he's
up.
doing. I know what he's doing. Right, what he's doing, he's trying to scam the in-game fans by it, and I think he's just trying to get our driver of the day vote from the in-game fans.
Well, if he does, he'll get Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans as well as on the app as well. So it might be a good plan from that perspective. But the Alfa Romeo is there in 11th. He is on the borderline. But remember, there is no compound tyre that he can't start on. He can choose any compound tyre that he can start on. So maybe, as I say, he is just trying to just pull the wool over everyone's eyes at this stage and just literally say, right, I've got more pace than all of these guys. I'm not one to show it. I'll show it instead in the race. But the warning is, and the theory is around that, if you show too much pace in qualifying, you'll bum out in the race. If you show little pace in qualifying, you will still bum out in the race. It is Formula 1 at the end of the day, and Jamie with the 113.4 is just setting up on a lap. Yaram is down in the first sector. Powdy on the run to the line is just starting on a run, and Dylan McGivern is actually 24.6 in the first sector, purple out of everyone, but I think he's backed off as well.
Yeah, I think he might have just made a small mistake there, so he's backing off. You got Yaham, who I think is just going to back off to go for another run here. He's on 100% ERS.
Ooh.
Powdy, marginally going to be up in the first sector.
Is Yaram looking laggy for you, by the way?
Everyone's looking laggy for me, mate. I'm in Wales after all.
Yaram's just jumping about on my screen. He was 1 bar, 2 bar, I think, before, as the Alfa Romeo of Jamie is off through the first sector. We'll try and ride above with Yaram's lap if we can. But Yaram's out on top of the 110.8, Dylan McGivern in second, 110.9. By the way, 19 viewers. Thank you so much for watching. Every single one of you that is tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I think it's the highest I think we've had all season for TML F2. We normally have like 4 or 5 viewers at this stage. But Yaram now through the first sector, 9,000's up, coming through Skyflak through the first sector. It was 9,000 down, I should say, through the first sector. Now into the middle sector. Hopefully it is a viewable lap as he gets caught very wide, coming out of turn number 8. El Mulborough through turn number 9 of Renault, and he has backed off. So Yaram is done.
Improved.
Dylan McGivern, though, is improving in the first sector. Powdy does improve to quickest, 110.891, but Dylan McGivern is improving.
Coming on board with Dylan as he comes through turn number 10 now. As the checker flag has fallen here in qualifying, there's Powdy who's coming out on top. Can Dylan take that pole position away? And he's lost some time in the middle sector.
He has. He really needs to attack the chicane, which he doesn't really. He's a bit hesitant on the exit, but he can still find a 10th of a second coming through. He only needs to find, what, a 10th? And then he's on pole position. Beautiful, coming out of Ari Lundijk at turn 13. Now through 14, and Ari Lundijk out. Now on the run to line with Dylan McGivern, and he actually backs out into the pit lane. He wasn't going to improve in the end, and that is a shame. He had very limited ERS as well, to be fair. And with that, that is the end of qualifying, and it is a McLaren 1-2. And what did I say? About an 8/10th improvement? Paddy has done that. A 110.8. 8/10th improvement is the average around here. Paddy on top from Yaram there in second, but they're only split by a hair's breadth of 100th of a second, separating the top two. And Dylan McGivern there in third, 400ths down off Powdy, but it's Powdy out on top. Yaram in second, Dylan McGivern there in third, Charlie there in fourth, Siege there in fifth, 0.3 of a second covering the top five. But Atlas Copland goes round off the top 7 to 5.5 covering the top 7. Ronnie there in 8th, Roy God there in 9th, Legend there in 10th, Jamie in 11th. Bit of a characteristic job, I think, in qualifying. He'll be hoping certainly for better in the race. Evil Chris and Bradley down in 12th and 13th didn't actually manage to get valid lap times on the board. But Paddy out on top, Yoram there in second, and Dylan McGivern there in third. Should set up for a very, very good race, and hopefully quite an open race as well.
Yeah, but as I've just looked at the chat there, Yaham very pleased with qualifying, saying, let's go. Jamie in the chat saying, you've exposed me here, keep an eye on me if you can. Mate, we don't miss a trick in the comms box. We do not miss these tricks.
I've been around 10 years and he thinks he can outdo me. Yeah, you've got absolutely no chance. In fact, nobody has got a chance to try and outdo me in terms of comedy. I've been around the block. I've seen kids try and pull the wool over my eyes plenty of times. I know what's coming. And yeah, he had much better pace than what he was letting on to there. But we'll have to wait and see. Charlie as well, saying that so frustrating, only went about 4 to 5 tenths faster than on the mediums. Powdy, however, went 7-8 tenths quicker on the mediums. So it's just about that driver's difference. As we see the brand new glitch in operation that we saw on Wednesday night. all of the mechanics are ghosted inside of each other.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's looking very clean down there in the pit lane right now. I can't lie. It's not cluttered at all.
It is. It's looking a bit OCD. Like it's a bit too quiet. It's a bit too clean. The pit lane at this stage, and the mechanics are just standing in like a T-bone shape. I don't know what. Anyways, top 3, Mr. Mike.
Do you know what? I'm gonna say Yarham for the win. Dylan second. I think Charlie will get third.
Interesting. Well, I'm not going to predict because Fights are going to come out very soon indeed. For TML F2, it's round 6 of the championship and it's lights out and away we go, and Yoram does get a bit of a laggy start, but he is alongside Parody in towards turn number 1. Bit of a shocker sort of a start from Ghost down in towards turn number 1 as well in the foreground. He's actually getting out of the way of everyone. Aston Martin parks on the inside line. I think that was Atlas Copo making a mistake. I think he's got a problem potentially in terms of his wheel, but Parody leads the way. Yoram in second. Dylan McGivern's on the wall. Dylan McGivern out of the race. He got absolutely tagged. I think that was by the Red Bull of Ronnie, and it's a safety car. No surprise at all. Into the banking goes Dylan McGivern, and Dylan McGivern is out of the race early on, and the championship is not going to change hands, or the championship lead is not going to change hands tonight. Dylan McGivern already out the race, and I think he got tagged by either Ronnie or Charlie.
Well, I mean, Dylan's definitely not going to be happy with that, but what this does mean is that Williams, no points tonight. Big opportunity in the constructors now for the other teams to close up.
Yeah, definitely so. And Dylan looks like he's absolutely fuming in the Discord. I'm just going to put it that way. He is absolutely livid with that. I didn't catch it. We didn't have a really good camera angle, I've got to be honest, coming in towards the banking at turn number 3. But what I saw, I think, was Ronnie on that sort of soft compound tyre, on the outside line. I think Dylan, obviously with the nature of the corner, was on the inside. They were side by side, and basically they got collected on each other. Ronnie's just left too little room, and in the end is going to be staying out on track in 3rd position on that sort of soft compound tyre. And Dylan McGivern, oh, that is going to go. That will certainly go to the stewards. That one, that will, no shadow of a doubt, go to the stewards.
Yeah, that will 100% be looked at by the stewarding team. The one thing I'm looking at right now is obviously the different selection in terms of the tyre strategy. Obviously, we got both of the McLarens on the set of the hards, Ronnie on the set of softs, Charlie on the set of hards, and then mediums from Siege all the way down to Bradley, and then Atlas Coco on hards. And Evil Chris has just come into the pits and he's strapped on the set of the white walled hard compound tyres.
Yeah, hard compound tyres. That might mean, of course, that the cloud is beginning to build over the circle a little bit later on, potentially in the race, and that's why we've got everyone on a difference of strategy, potentially, especially Ronnie on that sort of soft compound tyre. Want to try.
Oh,
Dylan actually saying, him and Charlie, it was not Ronnie. Ronnie had a hell of a start. He's up to 3rd position, and in the end, Dylan saying, me and Charlie banged wheels and I spun it on the curb. Charlie saying as well, he backed out, and then Dylan backed out, and then it's been a Constantino effect, it looks like, coming out of turn number 2, and therefore they got caught in each other, as I say, and in the end, the banking claims a victim. And unfortunately, well, fortunately for Yella Geeson, he's not here tonight. He's not going to be too bothered at all. He's going to remain in the championship lead. But what this does do is take one of the big contenders for the race win out of the race, and now possibly lays it on the laps of the McLaren guys.
Yeah, and obviously, like in terms of the constructors as well, obviously Yella Geeson not being here, Dylan now out the race. Big for the likes of McLaren and for Mercedes to close up here.
Sorry, my headset disconnected. I don't know what went on there. My headset got jammed somehow in between the side of my bed, and I think I was sitting on it. So yeah. Anyways, that silence was not because I died or anything. That was literally because my headset just disconnected out of the controller. Goodness me. Parody though leads the way. Yoram there in second, Ronnie there in third, and we're currently on lap 3 out of 36. And of course, we're under the first safety car of tonight. Probably not the last safety car either of tonight as well. But Parody got a really good start. Yoram was alongside him in towards turn number 1. And in the end, Parody just had a much better turn number 1 on the exit curb, led by 0.2 per second. Then all hell broke loose between Charlie and Dylan McGivern and behind. nobody luckily has been caught up in an incident apart from Chris, who obviously transitioned onto that sort of hard compound tyre. I think that was more tactical than anything else. But what that does mean now, Ronnie in third, Mike, has got a very good chance of taking the front two off this safety car restart. He is on a set of soft compound tyres. They're going to be about a second quicker. I wouldn't be surprised to see the McLarens second and third by the end of this next lap.
Yeah, Ronnie with a great opportunity. One person I want to put a little highlight on is Ghost, obviously, after that poor start down there in 9th place. Jamie sandbagging his way through qualifying, as we all know, and he's up into 8th now.
Yeah, and Ronnie's gained 5 positions. He must have absolutely just threaded the eye of the needle coming through the banking, because he was absolutely nowhere near, I don't think, coming through the banking section, and that's why he's now in third. 5 positions gained for him. Roy got on 3, Legend on 3, Jamie on 3 as we now get back underway, and actually Ronnie is the one that's been caught absolutely napping. Parody has actually misjudged the start, I think, and now Yarham is going to try and pull alongside him towards turn number 1. We are going to get, I think, Evil Chris and Atlas Copo side by side and towards turn number 1, and Evil Chris, the Frenchman, dives it down the inside line. He's got the tyres warmed up, and he's certainly got the move warmed up as well. Beautiful stuff by Evil Chris to the inside line at Tarzan, gets the job done. He's into 11, but a good restart by all. Soon as I say that, though, Siege and Roygaard have a bit of a collision, and now Charlie is through. Roygaard is dropping down the field. Not sure if he got caught, maybe in an incident with Ronnie perhaps, but Charlie now takes the eye of the needle through, and he's into third. Yarm is struggling off the safety car restart as well, but Parody clears the way by 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, and now Charlie all the way on the back of Yarham now, and he's going to be putting that McLaren under pressure, especially if he's struggling with tyre temperatures of the safety car restart. And Charlie looks like he's got his tyres cocked up lovely. Ronnie appears to be dropping down because he's under pressure now from Siege.
He is under pressure from Siege indeed, and Atlas Copo's pressurising Roygaard into the right-hander of turn number 11 at Audi S curve, and he's gone wide, and he just let him through. Atlas Copo to the inside line, instead gets caught on the curb. Roygaard gets caught on the outside curb.
Down the inside of the banking. Fantastic stuff from Siege.
He's still alongside him though. Ronnie and look at Legend. Legend's coming out from an absolute cannon position to the inside line at turn number 1 at Tarzan. Is he going to try and dive it to the inside line? He does. Ronnie has not got those tyres hooked up whatsoever on that set of softs. On paper he should have been the quickest, and Legend and Ronnie collide with each other coming through turn number 2. Now for the banking to turn number 3, and Ronnie holds the position, but Legend gets such a good run out the banking. Oh my god, that is a brilliant move. Absolutely insane Jamie. Run off the banking. Jamie now going side by side up the hill, but that was just utter brilliance from Legend. Thuni's into 5th. I've never really seen a move like that being pulled off before in this game. Now I have, and Legend, well, he made that absolutely easy.
Yep, Legend with the absolute traction from the heavens there out of that corner, and he is able to get the position done. And I'm wondering now, is Powdy thinking about maybe backing off a little bit just to make sure Yarham stays in behind him?
I think he is. He's 8/10 behind, so Yarham's going to get the DRS the next lap around, I think it is. The DRS will be enabled. But yeah, Powdy leading the way, Yarham in second, Charlie then. The DRS won't be enabled actually until we get towards turn number 12, or turn number 11, the Audi S curve through the middle sector split. Roygaard is going side by side with Atlas Copa once again in towards turn 1. He doesn't need the DRS to the inside line at turn number 1, and on that set of mediums gets caught in the inside curve slightly, but is through. I wonder if he's got a little bit of damage potentially on the car, and that's why we saw him drop down a little bit earlier on. Now he's picked up the pace. Roygaard is into their 11th, and Chris, I think, has just repeated the move on Bradley. Oh, it's what, Jamie! Oh my god, Jamie to the inside line, and that was never going to work.
That is impatience here from Jamie, and that you could see what was going to happen. He tried to fit through a gap, but just wasn't there, and he tried to force his way through. Contact made, and around he goes.
Charles Leclerc will be looking at him saying, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid. And yeah, I think that's true. Jamie there down in 12th.
So, no driver of the day vote for Jamie, no?
No, what did I say at the end of qualifying? I did say, if you've got good, if you bottle qualifying, then you've got good pace in the race, and you can still do badly, and that's exactly what's happened from Jamie's perspective. But Paddy there leading the way, Yoram there in second, Charlie there in third. Patience and absolute virtue around this track, especially in terms of moving. Siege is into the pit lane actually, so I wonder if he's got. This is tactical, I think, from him. Sutterhold compound 30 laps on a Sutterhold. Ooh, they're gonna be cut towards the end, but they could make it.
Double stack for the Red Bulls. Double stack for the Red Bulls, and there's a front wing change for Ghost as well.
It is. He got caught up in that incident with Jamie. He got completely collected with the ghosting, with the ghosting system. Pardon the pun. With the ghosting system in play, Jamie unfortunately collected him, and Ghost was off in the gravel on the left-hand side, and obviously needed a front wing change. So they're down in 11th position, but disappointing from there. But I've seen moves happen up towards turn number 7 at Skyflak. I've seen moves go around the outside of Skyflak, and they have worked on this game. But you've got to trust the driver that's ahead of you as well behind. Ronnie basically took the racing line through the turn 5 and turn 6 complex just before we get toward the first sector split. Literally took the inside line, took the racing line, and Jamie just tried to fit through a gap that really was not there. And then he's trying to persist with that gap, and then Ronnie's just collected him into the wall, and Jamie's impatience unfortunately telling, I think, in terms of that move. Of course, the stewards will have a look at that. The stewards might just give the cold shoulder over it, but I don't think they will. I think that's going to be an incoming penalty potentially for Jamie.
Yeah, it's just silly driving from Jamie, and it's a silly move. It's not a move you like to see. You lose your head, and this all goes back to qualifying as well. If you're gonna start down towards the back, you've got a lot of people to overtake, and you need patience, especially when a track like this to overtake. If you've got the pace in qualifying, qualify as high as you can, because that gives you the better opportunity in the race. Yeah,
and it's common sense at the end of the day with moves like that running up the hill. But stewards, of course, will have a look at it. I could go on every single amount and cover the rule book about that incident, but I'm not going to. Powdy out on top from Yarm in second, Charlie there in third, and we are under the second safety car of the night. I did say it wouldn't be the last safety car of the night, and I still don't think it will be the last safety car of the night either. But Powdy out on top, Yarm in second, Charlie in third. They looked actually pretty much under pressure from Charlie there in third before that safety car came out. Charlie was within 0.3 of a second of Yaram, so if he can get those tyres back up and warmed completely. Legend, he's got complete pace over Legend at this stage. Charlie will be the one to watch out for in the safety car restart, and he will be the one going places if Powdy messes up the safety car restart like he did first time around, and second of all, if Yaram is not carried, Charlie there in third is going to be really lapping that up as the safety car's in this lap.
Yeah, and another person to keep our eyes on is, of course, Siege down in 8th. He's on the set of the heart. He's made his pit stop, and I presume he'll be going to the end on those tyres, unless another safety car comes out, of course. But Siege definitely one to keep an eye on in terms of that gap to the front three.
Yeah, oh, don't know where this is coming from, goodness me. Powdy leading the way, has already gone, I think, has he? No, coming to the right-hand return 13. He's going to try and judge this. This is going to be like a Magello-style sort of start, as Charlie was right on the back there of Yoram, nearly collected him, and Powdy, Yoram was hanging back here quite a lot. And he's now going to have the run once again on him, down and towards center 1. It's not going to be as close as what it was last time around, but Charlie's going to think about to the outside line. In towards turn number 1, tries to go around the outside. In the end, Legend and Roy got get caught. There's all sorts of carnage in the background of shot, but Charlie there, in the end, doesn't get the job done. In the end, Legend has been spun. He was in 4th, so somebody's dived it down the inside line at turn number 1, but Charlie could still try the move up the hill and towards 6 and 7. I don't think he will, though. He'll back off, and Powdy leads the way. Yoram in second, Charlie in third. Was on board with Charlie, didn't see what happened in the background, but Legend definitely got collected, as did Roygard.
I'm on board with Siege, and this guy I think has an ERS failure or something going on, because his ERS is stuck on.
Is it not automatic? Automatic ERS?
I mean, he's drained the whole battery in a lap.
Deploy used. Interesting. He's backing off. He's definitely under human control is what I can say with a lot of confidence, but I think he stuck automatic ERS on, which is obviously allowed in a in assist racing. It's obviously allowed, but it's probably the worst thing you want to do in a race where you're competing with everyone, as Roygaard's going to look for the move on Siege, actually down the straight in towards turn number 1, and regardless of that ERS being stuck on, Roygaard through, and he's into 6th and breezes past Siege as if he's not even there. Siege, by the way, though, has now fixed his ERS, it seems. Might have just flicked on the setting, hopefully he was listening to us in the comments, and Siege there in 7th is now back under automatic, back under manual ERS control.
Yeah, but that is heartbreaking for Siege, because he's gone from 100% DRS all the way down to 20%, and everyone else has a good 50% extra ahead of him.
Unless he's going for a one lap on, one lap off tactic, but again, he's not really backing off and lifting and coasting into the braking points to try and gain that ERS back. Legend, by the way, coming out of the pit lane with the front wing change. They're down in 11th. Atlas Copper went very wide there, coming out of turn number 9 as well. But Powdy leads the way and has already got Yoram outside of a second. Charlie there in 3rd is outside of a second, nearly to Yoram as well. So that, in retrospect, it's actually a really good restart from the Italian? The Irishman, I was going to say. Oh, I'm all over the place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Italian Irishman.
Roygaard, the Norwegian, is looking on the back of Bradley, running down in towards turn number 1, as my telly's going to turn itself off in 60 seconds. That's not great, but that's been fixed. Paddy leads the way. The Irishman leads the way over the Brit in 2nd, not the Italian, goodness me. Charlie there in 3rd, Evil Chris in 4th. Bradley in 5th, but Roygaard, definitely the one getting into play here. He is in 6th, he looks pretty quick, as long as he can take his corners correctly. He should be getting past Bradley sooner rather than later. In fact, actually, he looks so quick running up the hill.
Yeah, he looks like he is hooking these laps up right now, and Bradley, he needs to try and just hold on to Evil Chris, because Evil Chris looks like he's closing in a bit on Charlie here.
He is.
Actually lose a 10th.
Yeah, Charlie there, 7/10 of a second though, has gained a little bit on Yoram. Yoram in the end has not really gained much on Powdy, so Charlie might be the one that's actually beginning to put on the power a little bit and just begin to try and bridge that gap to Yoram and then pull away from Chris as well. I think that might be what's going on here with the Mercedes and the Haas in behind. Chris is definitely losing time through this final sector is what I can say. But through the right-hander again of Arie Lundijk onto the banking. 3rd of the way through the race now here in the Netherlands, and it's Paddy that leads the way from Yoram there in 2nd, Charlie there in 3rd, Evil Chris there in 4th, Bradley in 5th, Roygaard there in 6th. That might be the next move they're going to ride on board with. Siege there in 7th, Alice Cooper in 8th, Ronnie in 9th, Ghost in 10th, and then Legend, of course, after picking up front wing damage, he was back in the pick then. He's down in 11th position. Jamie out of the race after a very silly and audacious move up the hill and towards turn 5 and 6, where we are now with Powdy. And Dylan McGivern out of the race after contact with the banking through with Charlie as well. So unfortunately, both instances are going to be going to the stewards, it seems. But what is rather unfortunate as well, Yoram's got 10% of ERS, Powdy's got 48%, Charlie's got 57%.
Yeah, Johan definitely looks like he just doesn't have his teammates' pace here, so he needs to play the team game here and do his best to just keep Charlie at bay.
Yeah, he definitely does, and Charlie definitely looking quick. Again, he's got really good pace. He took drive of the day, of course, 2 weeks ago in France. The last race, of course, that we were live for TML F2. If you were expecting, by the way, TML F1 last night, sorry, we had hardly any drivers actually race last night, so that's why we didn't race, and that might be carried over to the end of the season. We still have to have a discussion about that. There's going to be no discussion though for 7th position. Atlas Copper breezes past Siege down the straight in towards turn number 1, and the Aston Martin is clearly through, and the Aston Martin through, and he's into 7th position and making it look pretty easy on Siege, who is actually getting a bit of that battery back, which is good. He might be just trying to take the trick of lifting and coasting into the corners, gaining that ERS back. Somebody that's not going to gain that ERS back though, Charlie, doesn't need to use any up. 2/10 away coming through Sky Flag, and he's right on the back of Yoram.
Yep, right on the back, but this is where the understeer that he'll have from the dirty air effect will start to come into play, and he needs to be cautious of that, as he could very easily lose the back end when following another car. But Johan there getting a little bit switchy, so that's going to open things up for Charlie to have a little peek on him, let's say.
Yeah, and look at the DRS actually, just as the yellow flag, and that's the Red Bull of Ghost that is round actually coming through turn number 8. I'm not sure if he's hit the wall, potentially. I think he's got away with it, but Charlie there, definitely getting a little bit of time down in towards the right-hand turn number 12. It's not really an overtaking point, to be honest, that corner. This, however, is down in towards Tarzan at turn number 1, and yet again, he's too far away from the banking. You've got to be within, ideally, 3 or 4 tenths per second, as you are with Roy God on the back of Bradley, but this move is not going to happen either, because he's got very limited ERS. Charlie, though, just has to bide his time, I think. There's plenty of opportunities in this race to try and go for the move. Yoram looks inevitably slower. Charlie, though, sometimes puts himself under a bit too much pressure, and therefore, that counteracts his own strategy and his own call. As Atlas Copo, I think, is around coming out of turn 2.
Yep, Atlas Copo around, and heartbreak for him, because he was in a good spot ahead of CJ in P7, and tumbling down the order now is Atlas Copo.
He is down in 9th position. It is unfortunately the nature of the beast that Netherlands likes to bring out is the lion roaring, quite literally here in the Netherlands at Zandvoort. Paddy leads the way, Joram in 2nd, Charlie there in 3rd. Closest battle that we've got is these two. Joram is jumping about a bit on my screen. Certainly the connection failing them at this stage, as Charlie there in 3rd on the back of him, and the Mercedes looking on the back of the McLaren quite comfortably, to be honest. And he looks as if he could go for the move at any time to try and get this job done. We saw in Spain, he went 10 laps, a lot longer, 10 laps, as he's using up the ERS now. Is he going to go for the move? I think he's too far back, and he dives it to the inside line of turn number 1, but in the end, Joram, beautiful car positioning towards turn number 1, not too late, not too early, beautiful car positioning, just cut him off, right at the pass, right at the last minute, and Charlie stays in 3rd. Joram, very nice and tactical there from him.
Yeah, as we got Roygard on the back of Bradley, trying to put him under pressure. And we'll see if Roygard can get a move done, perhaps, as Atlas Copo into the pits. 2 tenths is the gap between these two, the same as what it is for Charlie and Johan.
Yeah, Atlas Copo, I think, has got also a front wing change going on. Yeah, he definitely had a front wing change going on in the car. Parry, though, beginning to come back to Joram slightly. Joram 11% of ERS. Compared to Parody on 35%, he has used a bit better battery. Charlie on 48%. Charlie's still looking very good in terms of his battery. As Roygard on the back of Bradley once again. NSR and the AET team going at it once again, as they're in 5th and 6th. They're doing a good job. Roygard over-rotating though, coming out of the chicane there with 11 and 12. Just beginning to look a little bit sketchy in terms of his setup. Somebody that isn't, though, was Charlie. Once again, on the back of Joram. Is he more committed to the move this time around? He'll turn off the ERS. Not this time. He'll go around the outside of turn number 1. Is he going to try and think about the move? Joram to the inside line. Again, just beautiful position of the car from Joram. The Brit knows what he's doing on the back of his fellow countryman. And Charlie there in 3rd still cannot find a way through. Maybe on the exit of the banking he will. Gets a really good run out the banking, but he's not going to get the job done up here.
Yeah, he didn't want to use his ERS to come up the hill to potentially go for a move in towards turn number 7, but it will be interesting to see just how long Johan can hold off Charlie, because Charlie is knocking and he is using his ERS now.
He is using that ERS, but he's got to try and go for a move that is really going to be his, and I think that's the only opportunity for that is down towards turn number 1. Again, he's 3.5 tenths away. He will close. He's got much better setup compared to Joram at this stage. Breaks in toward the right-hand with turn number 11. Looking very nice at this stage, but Charlie's just got to be patient. He's just got to bide his time really on the back of Joram. Paddy's now beginning to pull away as well, and this now means that Charlie's are much closer this time compared to Joram on the exit of the banking, using the DRS. There's going to be no fight, I don't think, from Joram. He'll try and defend the inside line if he can. Nearly pushed him into the pit wall, and Charlie in the end doesn't move right. And Joram to the inside line, on the outside line at turn number 1. 5-second penalty for Roygard, nearly inches apart, coming through turn number 3, and Charlie backs out. Charlie backs out, coming through turn number 2. Joram stays in 2nd, Charlie there in 3rd. But Charlie doesn't know what left from right is.
I can't lie, I had flashbacks to Hungary with Barrichello and Schumacher there.
Don't get me wrong, it was aggressive from Joram, but it was aggressive to try and force him toward the pit wall. In the end, Charlie's just gone into the side of the front wheel of the car, which I don't get, as Roy got us round on cold hards, coming to the banking at turn number 2. Really strange incident. Of course that's not going to get looked into, I don't think, but Charlie, he had about 2 foot's worth of space on the right-hand side, is all I'm going to say, and he should have just moved right. Otherwise, he could have just picked up a little bit of damage there, but Paddy leads the way, Yoram in second, Charlie in third. Is Charlie finally going to get the move this time around? No, way too far back this time around. And Yoram in the end will hold them off for another lap. But we will see potential pit stops, I think, coming very soon, as Bradley, in fact, is into the pits.
Yep, Bradley in off those set of mediums, and it's going to be a big for Bradley, but also, let's not forget, Siege has already made his pit stop, and he's in P5 now. About 5, 6, 7 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, 5, 6 seconds off the lead, and this is going to be a real change-up, I think, in terms of the race. We're going to expect, certainly, set of hards, certainly from Siege's perspective, he's going to be in the lead of the race. But Paddy and Yoram, I think they've got to think about coming in the pit lane this time around. Lap 18 out of 36, I think it's going to be near enough an ample opportunity to actually come in for a set of compounder tyres, for a set of medium compounder tyres. But are they going to get to the end of the race? They normally go off about 12 or 13 laps into their stint, so they've got to be very, very careful if they do want that setup, of course, and they do want to get to the end of the race, of course, in terms of tyre management. But Siege is, for a little bit of a retrospect, 7.4 seconds behind. So if Paddy comes in the pit lane now, it's around a 20-second pit stop around here. If Paddy decides to come in, which he isn't, Charlie, however, is. Charlie, however, is, and this is going to be the big indicator. Siege is out the final corner. Charlie in for some medium compounder tyres. No front wing change as well after that incident with him. And Siege is actually back in the pits. Siege is back into the pit lane, going onto a set of medium compounder tyres. Got held up slightly as well, but he's going on for front wing change.
Wow.
Wow. So where on earth did that happen then? Because I didn't see any yellow flags or anything on that lap.
Well, I can confirm now that the gap between Charlie and Paddy, 19.5 seconds. 19.4.
Yep. Exactly where I expected it to be. Exactly where I expected it to be. He's going to be obviously cooking on gas in terms of the setup, in terms of him on that set of medium compounder tyres. And there he is, in fifth position, doing a good job. But Paddy and Yoram, they've now got to split the strategy. They've got to hope that there's some form of communication between them, and one of them has got to react. And if I was in Paddy's shoes, I would have jurisdiction over who would come in first. I think Paddy should come in first, but he stays out. Yoram is into the pit lane, so Yoram is in. Jurisdiction obviously given to Yoram to come in the pit lane, try and counter off Charlie. Charlie's coming to the left-hand of turn 12 in towards the right-hand of 13. This could be quite close.
Yeah, the question is, how quickly did Charlie get his tyres up to temperature? As we got Yaham leaving the pit lane now. It's going to be close on the exit.
It's going to be very close, but I think Yoram, with that inside track through turn number 1, is just going to have track position. And he nearly got clouted on the inside wall there. He's joined on track safely. Ran over the white wall, right line a little bit, but Charlie is going to have to think about getting this job done. He's going to get the elbows on, he gets the traction, and Yoram in the end cannot fight back. Even with that big lag spike, Charlie is through, he's into fourth, and in the end holds him off and is ahead of Yoram. So in the pit stops in the end, Charlie managed to get the job done. But to what expense? Because it's still 19 seconds, the gap between Paddy and Charlie. This, again, is going to be extraordinarily close between Paddy and Charlie.
Yep, and Paddy has to pit now.
He has to pit. He has to pit now, because otherwise you're going a lap, 2 laps later, like Charlie did in Spain, and then he could run the risk of actually not catching in time. But he's in. He's into the pit lane, 4.8 seconds ahead of Chris, who's still continuing on. And if I was in Chris's shoes, I'd go set a soft compounder side to the end of the race, just to throw it out a little bit, and he might just get there. But Charlie is now ahead of Yoram. There is Charlie, right-hand side of your screen, coming out of the pit lane now. There he is, right-hand side. McLaren just poking over. There he is on the right-hand side, and Charlie's ahead. Charlie's ahead of Paddy, and do you know what? I think Paddy could be under pressure from Yoram here as well. This has not worked out in the McLaren trade book whatsoever, and they nearly collide for good measure as well.
Yeah, honestly, Paddy made a mistake in letting Yaham take priority in the pit stops. He should have definitely been the first one to come in.
He should have been the first one to come in. He would have been ahead. He would have been ahead, and now Charlie has got the McLarens outside of a second. This is absolutely perfect for the Brit. Currently there in third. Chris there has been into the pit lane though. Ronnie has also been in the pit lane, so Ronnie's actually technically leading this race, even though he has to pit once again. He is technically in the lead of this race. Chris will definitely have to pit again. That is an absolute given. And he continues on at least for another lap. But what he has got in front of him is Atlas Cooper and Roygar battling out for 10th and 11th. They don't have to move out of the way whatsoever. And they can use up whatever is their mix to their hard score content. As Yoram now pushes on Powdy to the inside line of turn number 1. Gonna go for the move, the Esports man, and Real Powdy in the end not gonna back that off whatsoever, and backs off whatsoever, and Yoram there through, and he's into 4th.
And now we're gonna see as Charlie's now on the back of Ronnie. He needs to dispatch this Red Bull ASAP because it's gonna hold him up and bring Yaham and Powdy back onto the back of him.
He's not going to go for the inside of Skyflack at turn number 7, is he? He fits up the gap to the inside line. Ronnie's unsure. Charlie's even more unsure, but he's still, I think, going to get the job done. Brilliant stuff from Charlie. In the end, that is respectful driving. It's cost them, but it's respectful driving. Ronnie now thrown into his Yoram tries to the inside line at turn number 10. Goodness me. But Charlie is now ahead of Yoram once again by a second. Perfect tactics up the hill and towards Skyflack at turn 7 from Charlie. In the end, Jamie couldn't make that move work. In the end, Charlie does.
Yeah, and this is where being behind Ronnie's going to hurt the McLarens, because you can see Charlie is just bolting away.
Oh, and Yoram, oh my god, nearly desyncing into the back. Ronnie's into the pit lane, so lets them go, and Powdy picks up a bit of slipstream. In the end though, look at Yoram, he's used up all of his battery as well. Advantage now Charlie, he can now save up in terms of his ERS. Chris is 11 seconds up the road, he's got nothing to worry about. He has got lap cars potentially ahead towards the end of the race, but Charlie 1.4 seconds ahead of Yoram, and that actually has worked out better for Charlie than it has done for the McLarens, believe it or not.
Yep. As Ronnie's going to rejoin just ahead of Siege there, down in P6 and P7.
Oh, I tell you what, Siege I think is going to get the run out of the banking though. Coming through the right-hand return number 3, or the left-hand 3, and Siege breezes past him. That is ultimate traction, and Ronnie in the end makes a mistake and might just end up outside of a second to Siege as well. Siege now up into 6th position, beginning to fly in the Mercedes, but it is too little too late, I'm afraid, from him. And with that front wing change obviously happening, unfortunately, he's cost himself, what, an extra 5 seconds? Could have been on the back of Bradley, maybe even on the back of Powdy and Yoram towards the end of the race.
Yep. I mean, I don't understand that pit stop from Siege to put on a set of mediums. I thought he would have tried to take the hards to the end, because he would have been a lot further ahead than what Evil Chris is.
Well, he had that front wing change. So that was obviously affecting him more than what it was actually leading on to, and I certainly didn't see a mistake from him, unless he clipped potentially the pit wall coming out the pit lane. That's all I could think. But in the end, from his perspective, down in 6th position, it's an opportunity gone wasting.
Yeah. And unbelievably, as we said, it could be a big day for the McLarens, and unfortunately they find themselves at the mercy of Charlie right now.
They do, and they're both losing time. Charlie is gaining, what, 2-3 tenths per lap, I would think, on them. 1.7 seconds, it was 1.4. So Charlie now 1.7 seconds clear, coming through. Beautiful helicopter shot, coming through the left-hand return number 10, on board with these guys. But Charlie is in this net lead of the race. Chris is still yet to come in the pit lane, but Chris could stay out there. Charlie is catching about nearly 2 seconds a lap. So Chris, if he stays out there, could cause Charlie a few issues, and that'll be, again, advantage McLarens.
Yeah, and of course, by the time Charlie catches up to Chris, those mediums will be a little bit worse for wear, so he won't be able to close in 2 seconds a lap every single lap. That is going to slow down as the laps continue on. Yeah,
it definitely will, and it's all dependent on Chris. Chris had a bit of a mistake there. There's a yellow flag, and that's the Red Bull Ghost, I think, round, coming to the left-hand return number 10 on the entry into the corner of turn number 10. But yeah, Chris can stay out there. He has put it in once this race, and that was, of course, in the first safety car on lap 3, I think it was. So Chris there, leading the way, 8.3 seconds. Gap now between himself and Charlie has closed down. It's about 6-7 tenths so far this lap, so it's going to be more second and a half to, compared to 2 seconds. But Charlie is not gaining any time on Yoram either. It's 1.9 seconds now. He's just gained 2 tenths per second there. But He is struggling, Yoram. Charlie is also struggling. He's got more ERS, he can use that up. But the way that Charlie is catching Chris, it's going to be sooner rather than later as Ghost are retired in the pits.
I
you got excited there for a minute.
Safety car.
No, you got excited there for a minute, and I was thinking, yeah, it's just a retirement into the pit lane. Unlucky for Ghost, his AI is going to unfortunately come out in the pit lane right ahead of the McLarens, potentially, as we look on board with them. And in fact, actually, his car is stationary in the pit lane, and it's retired in the pit box, which is good. Chris, though, leading the way, 7.3 seconds. Doesn't have to give up the first position. He could stay out there until the end of the race. It'd be very, very unlikely that he could, though. Charlie there in second, Yoram in third, and now Charlie beginning to press. 2.1 seconds the gap. Paddy there in fourth. Ronnie also beginning to catch Siege all of a sudden. 1.3 seconds is quite stagnated at this stage. But Ronnie trying to look on Siege as well. The only battle that we really got on board with, though, is Paddy and Yoram, and that's why we've been following them the last 10 or so laps. But yeah, Chris leading the way, Charlie in second, Yoram there in third, Paddy there in fourth. Looking through the chat as well, Ghost saying involved in 2 crashes, which is not my fault. He got damaged floor, and I think that was probably as a result of Jamie's incident, as opposed to the other incident that, of course, got caused. I think that was through the banking at turn number 3. But Chris, 5.9 seconds leading, and he's in the pits. Chris is into the pit lane, couldn't continue any further. Blistering definitely occurring through the front right and indeed the front left tyre as well. So Chris is into the pit lane. He's going to be maybe ahead of Bradley here if he's lucky. But into the pit lane goes Chris, and we see Alfa Romeo mechanics instead of a Haas. But he's on a set of softs, and he is coming out of the pit lane, I think, just ahead of Bradley.
Just about, but Bradley could get the traction on the outside there, potentially go for this.
And he looks to the inside line at turn number 3 at the banking. Chris is still alongside. The softs though will be warmed up towards this stage, and do you know what? He's going to use the ERS up the hill, and they're going to be very careful here. Bit of hand of rage there from Chris, and Chris in the end hangs on somehow. But his tyres are now warmed up to temperature. He's going to start pulling away from Bradley sooner rather than later. So Chris is still in 4th, Bradley in 5th. Very, very animated, I've got to be honest there, Chris's driver. But in the end, they should have given each other more room. It was appalling camera angle running up the hill again. But Chris is ahead. His times are warmed up. 10 seconds to catch Powdy and Yoram. Not impossible, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, and the one advantage that Chris will have is he has about 60% ERS compared to the no ERS that Powdy and Yoram have, and Powdy's been let back through, and this should happen laps ago because I think Powdy's quicker than Yoram.
But why have they done it when they've got no ERS, both of them? That's a weird one.
I think it's because Powdy just has the pace over Yoram, as we saw earlier in the race and in qualifying. Powdy definitely the quicker out of the two. This should have happened laps ago when Charlie was a lot closer. Now we'll see if Powdy's got the pace to close up.
Yeah, definitely so. And Charlie, 2.7 seconds. Powdy went wide there coming through turn number 9. And is it the right decision to let Powdy through, even if he's just made a mistake and cost them 0.4 of a second? They've got to be worried by Chris and behind. 8.7 seconds now the gap compared to Yoram. Yoram is in within DRS range, so it is going to give him better time. But Chris is going to be so quick through the corners. That gap is going to just condense and condense down as the race goes on. And it seems like it's now a war between the McLarens. Because if Charlie picks up a 3-second penalty, he's still inferior to Powdy and Yoram. So, again, I don't know why they actually swapped when they were going absolutely nowhere.
I want, as soon as you mention 3-second time penalty, I want to have a little peek.
Any warnings?
There is one warning for Charlie.
So one warning, so you can get away with another, and then that'll be it. That'll be his 3-second penalty.
Yep, and nothing for Powdy or Yoram.
Yeah, which is a shame from Powdy. Well, not a shame from Powdy and Yoram's position. There is a yellow flag, and then there's Roygaard that has spun through. Charlie went briefly wide there, coming through turn number 10, I think, as well, which was a little bit of a a strange one. He didn't lose any time. I think it was just a little bit of a lag spike potentially on the mini-map. But Charlie leading the way, 3 seconds a gap. Paddy in second, Yoram in third, lacking all over the place. But Royko gets out of the way. He's got no front wing, has the Alpine. He is down at the back of the field and going to be staying there, I think, certainly until the end of the race. But Charlie, 3.3 seconds clear. Paddy in second, Yoram in third, and my top three actually would have been similar to this. I would have went Charlie for the win, in fact. And he has handled this race so well at this stage. He has weathered the storm on the McLarens. He's got 30% of ERS. He's just saving up that ERS as well. Paddy in second has got absolutely no chance. He's got twice as less amount of ERS as Charlie has got. And Yoram there in third. In fourth position, with 4% of ERS running up the hill and towards turn number 7. Bradley, by the way, in the pits, and he's going to set us off.
Yeah, and this is where we're going to start to see people try and go for fastest lap, which means they're going to be pushing the car. Potential to lose the car, and the safety car can change the entire complexity of this race. Yeah,
and Bradley actually had a front wing change as well, which is even worse for his worries. They're down in 8th position. He's doing a good job. He's miles ahead, though, of Atlas Copo and of Roygaard. So he can obviously, in 8th position, stay there, go for the fastest lap, and maybe even challenge Legend toward the end of the race there as well. But we're still on board with this McLaren battle, this very tactical McLaren battle at this stage. Charlie there leading the way. Currently 3.4 seconds clear. I feel like I've been repeating myself the last 10 laps or so in terms of the action out on track, but it's because we haven't got anything else to really go on board with at this stage. Charlie leading the way, weathering the storm, 3.4 seconds. As I say, if he picks up a 3-second penalty, he has got a 4, 5, 10th advantage to play with. He is beginning to lose his tyres though slightly. That is the main concern going forward. He has got 12 lap old mediums, Paddy's got 10, Yoram's got 11. So Paddy has got probably 10% less ERS, 10% less in terms of tyre wear at this stage compared to Charlie. He's probably got 5% less than Yoram. So Charlie leading the way, 3.2 seconds. That gap is beginning to whittle down slightly, but only slightly.
Yeah, this has to be good driving from Paddy and if he wants to kind of bring this back in. You can see he's broken away from Yaham now, and Yaham's on the teetering edge of DRS, and I think he's just going to drop out over here, and Paddy cannot afford to wait for his teammate to bring him along. He has to go.
Yeah, he does have to go, but again, Paddy's got literally 0 ERS to use up down the straight, and around this track it's going to be very costly indeed, but he is beginning to gain the time. 3.1 seconds is the gap. Charlie was gaining down the straight. It's not because Atlas Copel was ahead of him. It's just because he's got pure better straight line speed at this stage. And that is what's keeping him 3 seconds clear of Paddy at this stage. But Paddy now needs to go. He really needs to try and push. He needs to basically drive these final 5 laps as if he's never driven 5 laps in his life before to try and... because this race absolutely depends on it now. Paddy and Yoram getting an advantage. Charlie as well. It is a little bit further down the field in the standings, and Paddy and Yoram I think are up there actually in terms of standings. I'll double check in my photos from the standings coming into tonight, and the gap, Paddy was in 6th, Yoram was in 7th, and they were only separated by 5 points. So that is what we're talking about here. Charlie as well, he's down in 11th on 41 points. He's gaining so many points on Paddy and Yoram that it doesn't really matter. In terms of the constructors as well, McLaren are being outperformed by Mercedes, even though Mercedes are in 1st and 5th. There's a yellow flag, and that is Roygaard, I think, round.
Yeah, as it currently stands, I believe it's say 40 something for Mercedes right now, and potentially 50 actually for Mercedes, isn't it?
30 points for the win and 15 for 5th, I think. So yeah, so 45 points I think they'll have. While as Paddy and Yoram, 25 and 20, they'll have 45 as well.
Both gaining 45 points, and either way, it'll be a good day for both of these constructors to gain 45 points over Williams. Obviously tonight, not scoring anything.
Atlas Copel, by the way, getting out of the way of Charlie. Doesn't want anything to do with giving him a little bit of slipstream. And, in fact, he's spun. He's spun. I shouldn't have, but he spun coming out of the left-hander of turn number 10. And I think that was on rejoin on the circuit, so he's just basically put too much throttle down. And he's ended up spinning the car. It's so easy to do on this game. Bradley, by the way, is going to give us something to think about. Maybe up the hill and towards turn 6 and 7. This is a battle we can definitely ride on board with. And this is a move that could perhaps happen in towards Skyflack as he touches the back of the Alpine in towards Skyflack at turn 7. Legend on 23 lap old hards. 3 lap old softs for Bradley. This should be easy for Bradley. But then again, I've been wrong with so many things in my league racing career. This might just be another.
Well, there's one thing for Bradley to get past. He also needs to build that 3-second gap as well, because he does have a time penalty to his name.
He does indeed. Yeah, Bradley does indeed have a penalty to his name. 3 seconds for Bradley, 3 for Roygaard. He did previously have 5, I think, for speeding in the pit lane, but he obviously served that up to get rid of, so that will not be added on to the race time at the end. But Bradley now on the back of Legend. The battle now between Paddy and Yoram, I think that is now split, and now second and third seem pretty much assured as Bradley now pulls the inside line down the straight in towards turn number 1 at Tarzan and gets the job done through, and he's into 7th. They're a minute clear ahead of Atlas Copel and Roygaard, who are also battling out now for the wooden spoon.
Yeah, Atlas Copel currently has the advantage going up the hill, but Roygaard closes in, but not enough to think about going for a move.
And they're going to cancel each other out, I think, in terms of this as well. In terms of the actual, the set of soft compounder tyres that they're on, because Roygaard's tyres will be around 25% at this stage. Atlas Copel's not going to be anything like that, so Atlas Copel is going to cancel him out, and therefore begin to pull away, I think, in terms of this. But he can stick within DRS, and that is why the cancelling out is what I'm on about, with Roygaard there in 10th. Charlie, by the way, through the banking for the penultimate time, leads the way. We've got no more safety cars, I think, for tonight, so we've only had the 2 for tonight's racing, but Charlie leading the way by 3 seconds, and he has honestly taken Powdy and Yoram to the absolute cleaners with this race, as I think that is that Legend that spun to the banking? Or was that Roygaard? It was Roygaard.
Legend.
It was Roygaard.
Oh, Roygaard.
Yeah, the one down in 10th. Yeah, Roygaard down in 10th position is about to be lapped actually by Legend and Atlas Copel, which is even worse. Even worse at this stage. But Charlie leading the way, Powdy in 2nd, Yoram in 3rd, and now all of a sudden, Charlie's beginning to back off slightly. 2.8 seconds the gap. Not going to say that anything is going to happen on this final lap of the race. Might get a puncture, you never know. Wheel might break, you never know. Charlie turning towards turn number 1 at Tarzan leads the way, but the Mercedes, honestly, Mike, has taken the field apart in a pretty open race, has actually turned into an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, and that was all down to the strategic pit stop there from Charlie. He blinked first, came into the pits, chucked on the mediums, was able to get the jump on Yaham, who for some reason had priority over Powdy, who was leading the race at that time. And Charlie able to get the job done on Yaham, and then able to get the jump on Powdy. And since then, he's not looked back.
Yeah, it's been really, really good, and he's a 10th up actually in the first sector on his personal best, so he is trying to push for a non-existent fastest lap, because that's currently with Bradley with a 1:12.2, and that is obviously not going to happen, I think, from Charlie's perspective. Coming through this middle sector, he is burning that ERS though, through the middle sector split, he's a 10th up, but now coming through the left-hander, the left-hander turn number 12, this has turned into an absolute demolition job from Charlie's perspective, and Charlie will be one very happy man coming to the right-hander at Arie Lundijk at 10:14. Charlie is going to be a race winner here in the Netherlands, and he's going to land himself maybe in the championship picture as well. Charlie to line, wins in the Netherlands from Powdy there in 2nd, just couldn't keep up in the end. Yoram there in 3rd, couldn't keep up there as well in 3rd, and in the end the McLarens got outplayed in terms of the strategy call. Evil Chris there in 4th, he has done very, very well, I've got to say, to get 4th in this race. From a complete overcut, smashes himself towards the line, finishes there in 4th. Siege around the final corner. What could have been for Siege in this race? He probably would have finished, I think, still 5th, regardless of what happened. Ronnie is catching him towards the end, but it's not going to be enough. Siege there to the line, finishes there in 5th. Ronnie to the line in 6th. That's Atlas Copel coming to the line as well to finish there in 9th. Bradley and Legend we wait on. I think Roygaard is getting towards the final couple of corners as well.
The gap with the 3-second time penalty.
It's going to be tight. Bradley's going to use up all that ERS as well. 2.8 seconds, 2.9. Gapping him, close. 300ths of a second to Legend, I think. And yeah, he's 7th. Bradley in 8th.
Well, we got a little bit of a battle at the end.
But as much entertainment as we got out of the final 10 laps left, just from that little bit of change up in the order, a little bit towards the end of the race there. But in the end, Charlie does indeed take the win, and Charlie in the end looked absolutely class out on track, and that is the word I'm going to use, because he looked in an absolute zone out there, and once he's in that zone, normally it goes well for him, and this is the Charlie that I'd like to see to the end of the season, because he is no doubt one of the quickest drivers in FRL. In FRL? Yeah, he's also in FRL as well, but in TML, he is also one of the quickest guys in F2, and proving it tonight. Yes, Yellow Geeson was missing, yes, Dan was missing. Could they have lived up to that though? I doubt it, I guess.
That'll be one of life's unanswered questions until potentially next time TML goes racing at Zandvoort, I guess. But it is Charlie that does take the win, and honestly, gets my driver of the day.
Yeah, 4th on the grid up to 1st. Evil Chris, though, I think is... he did get driver of the day awarded by the in-game fans, so it might be going Evil Chris's way, potentially, from 12th on the grid up to 4th. But Charlie takes the win from Powdy there in 2nd, Yoram there in 3rd. In the end, the McLarens just couldn't keep up. Chris there in 4th, Siege there in 5th, Ronnie there in 6th, Legend in 7th, Bradley there in 8th, also picks up the fastest lap point as well, and 300 for a second was the gap in between them. Atlas Cole and Morgan also did finish on their own volition, down in 9th and 10th, they were a lap down. Ghost, Jamie and Dylan McGivern, unfortunately out of the race. Where would Dylan McGivern have been in this race if he was still in? Possibly around Charlie, Powdy, Yoram, one would expect. Jamie out of the race as well, showed good pace early on, didn't live up to expectation, just went for a reckless move run up the hill in towards turn number 5. But there we are, we have it for TML F2 tonight. Shall we try and get the top 3 in?
Yes, I can send them an invite, but I do have to shoot off.
That is fine, I can interview them, that is totally fine.
But I'll get them invited now for you.
Perfect stuff. Perfect stuff indeed. Just looking at the chat, Dan saying, how's the race going? It was a pretty boring one, can I say that? I think I can. It was pretty boring from our perspective. Charlie is wanting an interview, which is good. I'm not sure about Yoram and Powdy. I've never heard them before, so we might not get interviews from them. But if we do, then job's a good one, because we get the top 3 obviously in. Next week for the racing, unfortunately, somebody had to put this in the calendar. Wasn't me, I swear. It's Singapore next week, and it's a totally different track to the Netherlands. What can we expect, Mike, around there?
Singapore is going to be another one of those races where concentration has to be at its highest. It's a long and grueling track, and honestly, we could see a fair few safety cars as well, considering the fact that the walls are enclosing around our circuit.
Yeah, definitely so, indeed. We also have more action, which I forgot to plug on Wednesday for EML Premier 1. I'm going to plug this while we get the top 3 in, and that is, of course, the brand new Esports Masters League Challenge Cup, which is consisting of the best guys and the best racers on PC, the best teams on PC as well. Likes of Talent Factory, likes of Team Shazoo have signed up already, so if you do want to get involved with that, I think sign-ups are still open for that. We are in Monza, first round of the championship, 3rd of March, that is qualifying night. First round of the championship in Bahrain on the 10th of March, actually not too long to wait. Nathan Richards, Richie to PSGL F2 viewers, PSGL PC F2 viewers, and more games. Who's going to be joining me in the commentary box for PSGL F2 this season? He is also going to be alongside Nathan, which is going to be fantastic to see, as we can now hear, of course, from the man who finished in P1 and drove an absolute masterclass of a race. It is Mr. FRL Charlie, and Charlie, in the end, that strategy call to pit in just 2 laps earlier proved all the difference.
Yeah, Yarham was defending quite good, and I just didn't have enough straight line speed to get past him. He was a bit laggy, which didn't help either, but obviously he can't help that in the race, so hopefully it'll be better next week, hopefully. But yeah, Yarham definitely done everything right to defend there, and I I knew that I had to pull off the. If I was to get ahead of him, I knew I had to pull off the undercut. It was either lap 18 or 19 I was going to pit, and I decided to go even more. And I decided to go 2 laps earlier than what you'd normally go, and decided to go 18. And it just barely paid off. So I did was a bit slow. Was a bit slow on the entrance and exit into the pit lane, unfortunately. But luckily, the switchback worked since Yarham had to get the tires up to pressure.
Yeah, switchback definitely worked, and as you said, him lagging as well didn't really make it that easy. Talk us to that moment down in towards turn number 1 as well, where you basically drove into the side of him, even though he was trying to force you towards the pit wall.
Yeah, I was going to go to the inside because I knew that the outside wasn't going to work, but he did definitely. He turned right, which fair enough, but then it was. I thought he's leaving me a bit more room, but then I ended up accidentally tapping him, which was definitely my fault. I was expecting a bit too much there, I reckon. But then, you know, I should have probably backed out of it or just gone to the outside. But yeah, definitely my fault on that one.
Yeah, which is I'm not sure that's going to get reported. If it does, I highly doubt that you're going to get a 5-second penalty for a basic collision with a wheel down in towards turn number 1. But in the end, it was a phenomenal masterclass drive from yourself. And obviously, we've got Singapore coming up next week as well. How do you think you're going to get on around there? Because Singapore is a very, very much tougher track than the Netherlands.
I think you already know my answer to that one. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. You know that's my favourite track on this game, so hopefully we can try win there again, obviously.
And hopefully so, because I believe you might be fighting out for the for second in the championship very soon if you do that. And obviously with Singapore being one of your favourite tracks, it does look quite rosy for you. Go and enjoy your evening, Charlie.
Yeah, you too.
You are very welcome indeed. We can now speak to the man, and I've got to get these standings up just so I'm right, because I forgot what position he finished in when it loads. Unless Parody can tell me. It was P2? P2? I was going to say P2. I was doubting myself for a second there, but in the end, finishing in P2, Parody couldn't keep up with Charlie in that second half. Yeah, he definitely had the pace. And talk us about that switcheroo as well between you and Yarham. Obviously, you guys, I'm sure, were in a party together. Was that switch around done because you thought you had the pace to try and catch him? Yeah, undercut's definitely potent around here, and Charlie, I think, really worked that to absolute perfection. And in the end, P2 and 3 for McLaren, though, good amount of points in terms of the constructors, and I think, actually, you scored a level on points with Mercedes this week as well. I am very glad it is, and yeah, certainly from a Williams 1-2 last week, a McLaren 2nd and 3rd doesn't sound too bad either. Singapore next week as well, one of your favourite tracks, or is it a one that you're just thinking, just get out of the way? That's all you can do. All you can do is your best, and all you can do is be consistent out on track, and that is, I think, going to go a long way, certainly for Singapore next week. Go and enjoy your evening, Powdy. No worries at all, and that rounds us up very neatly indeed for the interview tonight for TML F2. Big thank you to Charlie and Powdy for joining us, of course, much appreciated, of course, as always. And that rounds us up very neatly for the Dutch Grand Prix here in Zandvoort. Of course, Singapore is next. We couldn't hear Powdy, but he said he was delighted anyways, P2, and he's going to have a good focus as well for Singapore next week. on top of that, which is always good. And Singapore, of course, is next week's track. TML F1 should be back next week. Hopefully we can get more drivers for Singapore next week. I have a feeling it might get cancelled as well, but who knows. TML F2, certainly from what I've seen, is going to be back next week as well, and that is of course going to be on Friday night. Before then though, EML Premier 1 and Premier 2, 8 PM UK time if you do want to catch that, as well as the up and coming of course EML Esports Challenge Cup, which is the PC Challenge Cup. Eventually, and I'm just going to say this now, eventually we are going to be running the EML PC side, which is going to be very, very top notch, and that is going to be very positive, I'm sure, moving forward as a result, and that should be sort of top notch. As I say, Talent Factory, Team Jazoo already signed up, going to be really key, I think, to get everyone on board. ETA, I know, are also involved as well. They of course have taken over as one of our main sponsors. And that's going to be fantastic moving forward as well. But that rounds us up very neatly indeed. If you did like that stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new for the channel. We'll be back, of course, next week for EML and TML combined. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.